It was a typical Tuesday afternoon in the small town of Denton, Texas. The sun hung low in the sky, casting golden rays over rows of quiet streets and sleepy storefronts. Mike Turner, a local mechanic in his late 40s, was just about to close up his garage for the day. Grease still stained his hands, and his blue overalls carried the marks of another long day of honest work. As he turned off the shop lights and stepped outside, something caught his eye across the street. A woman was struggling to push a broken wheelchair down the uneven sidewalk. Her movements were tense, careful, as if every step risked another problem. Sitting in the chair was a young boy, maybe 9 or 10 years old. His legs were wrapped in braces, and the chair's right wheel wobbled dangerously with each push. Despite his situation, the boy had a kind smile on his face and kept whispering something to his mother, possibly to reassure her. Mike watched them for a moment before walking over. "Ma'am, everything all right?" he asked. The woman looked up, clearly embarrassed. "Oh, we're fine. Just trying to get home. His wheelchair's been giving us trouble, but we'll manage." Mike didn't hesitate. "Let me take a look. I'm a mechanic. Maybe I can help." She hesitated at first, but nodded, and Mike gently wheeled the boy and his chair into his garage. The mother, Sarah, explained that her son Dylan had been born with a spinal condition and depended on the electric wheelchair to get around. It had broken down a week ago, and they hadn't been able to afford a repair. Mike listened quietly as he examined the chair. The motor was clogged with dirt, the right wheel axle was bent, and the armrest wiring had shorted. "This'll take a bit," he said, rolling up his sleeves. "Why don't you two sit tight?" Over the next 3 hours, Mike worked with the same care and focus he gave to classic Mustangs and Harleys. He cleaned out the motor, replaced the worn-out bearings, fixed the wheel alignment, and rewired the joystick control. At one point, he even raided his own supply of custom parts to give the wheelchair better stability. He didn't stop for a drink or a bite to eat. Every time he glanced at Dylan, the boy's hopeful eyes kept him going. By the time he was done, the sun had fully set, and the garage was lit only by a few overhead lights. Mike gave the wheelchair one final test before gently rolling it over to Dylan. "All right, buddy, give it a try," he said. Dylan gripped the joystick and pushed it forward. The chair responded smoothly, gliding across the garage floor. The boy's eyes lit up, and he let out a small cheer. His mother covered her mouth, tears spilling from her eyes. "This is amazing," she said. Thank you so much." Mike smiled and waved it off. "No charge. He deserves to move freely, and this world could use a little more kindness." Sarah tried to insist on paying something, anything, but Mike shook his head. "I've got a roof over my head and enough work to keep me busy. That's more than some can say." They left that evening full of gratitude, the boy wheeling away faster than he had in weeks, his laughter echoing down the quiet street. Mike watched them go, then turned off the lights and locked up his shop. It had been an ordinary day, and yet, somehow, it felt like something extraordinary had just happened. 3 days later, the small town of Denton woke up to something unusual. The quiet morning was interrupted by the sound of a jet engine overhead. Not a commercial plane, not a military flyover. This was different, sleek, low, and elegant. A private jet descended slowly and landed at the town's tiny municipal airstrip, a place that hadn't seen anything bigger than a crop duster in years. Word spread quickly. A black SUV pulled up to the hangar, flanked by 2 men in suits. Inside the vehicle sat a sharply dressed older gentleman with silver hair and a calm, confident expression. The door opened and a boy jumped out, Dylan smiling brightly, his wheelchair now upgraded with a new custom frame and smart controls. Right behind him was his mother, Sarah, looking far more rested and composed than just a few days ago. 10 minutes later, the SUV pulled up in front of Mike's garage. Mike was underneath a pickup truck tightening a bolt when he heard the unfamiliar sound of luxury tires on gravel. He slid out, wiped his hands on a rag and stood up, puzzled. The man stepped out first, extending his hand. "Mike Turner?" he asked. Mike nodded, still unsure what was happening. "That's me. "I'm Jacob Carter," the man said. "My grandson here has told me all about you." Mike looked at Dylan and smiled. "Hey there, buddy. You look like you've got a brand new ride." Dylan grinned and nodded. "It's awesome." Jacob stepped closer. "Mike, you didn't just fix a wheelchair. You gave my grandson back his freedom. That may not mean much to some people, but to us, it means everything." Mike scratched his head, feeling awkward. "I was just doing what anyone would do." "No," Jacob replied firmly. "Not everyone would have done what you did. Most people would have walked past. You stopped. You gave your time, your skill, and your heart, and you refused to take a dime for it." Mike didn't know what to say. He wasn't used to praise. He fixed engines, not lives. Jacob continued, "I run one of the largest tech engineering firms in the country. We build custom mobility devices, advanced robotics, and adaptive equipment. But all the money and technology in the world can't replace the kind of integrity you showed." Mike raised an eyebrow. "So, why are you here?" "I want to offer you something," Jacob said. "How would you like to run your own high-tech repair center? I'll fund the whole operation. Equipment, tools, staff, whatever you need. You'll get a salary, full benefits, and complete freedom to help others the way you helped Dylan." Mike blinked, stunned. "You serious?" Jacob smiled. "Dead serious. We need more people like you in the world, people who fix more than just machines." Mike looked around his modest garage, the same place he'd worked in for almost 20 years. It had always been enough. But now, for the first time, he saw a chance to do something bigger, not just for himself, but for others like Dylan. "I don't even know what to say," Mike muttered. "Just say yes," Dylan said, grinning from his chair. Mike laughed. "All right then, yes." Jacob extended his hand again, and Mike shook it, firmly this time. As the sun rose higher over Denton, Mike Turner's life changed forever, all because of a small act of kindness and a broken wheelchair.